Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to give it just a couple minutes until everyone is able to join, and then we'll kick it off. All right. Well, thank you for spending your lunch hour with us today. If recruitment feels harder than it should or more reactive than strategic, you're not alone. Today is about simplifying outreach, layering in multi-channel campaigns without adding a lot more work. So the goal today is we will cover how consistent multi-channel engagement actually reduces stress on your teams, shortens searches, and can build healthier pipelines. I'm Laura Kleffner, VP of Marketing here at Practice Match.
And I'm Courtney Frua, and we do work closely with provider recruitment teams here who are navigating capacity constraints, bandwidth issues, requiring strategic and tactical support, balancing tighter timelines, trying to do more with less, and juggling more responsibilities than ever before. So, our session today is grounded in what we're currently seeing right now, not theory. We do appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us, like Laura had mentioned. We're very confident that you'll walk away with new knowledge, inspiration, and insights to better do your job and save some time.
So provider recruitment needs omni-channel or multi-channel engagement. And it's really a reflection of the candidate journey and how that is not as linear as it used to be. Not, going from job post to application. There's more of a sideways motion. There is the research conducted on social, viewing emails, text messages, conference attendance and engagement with exhibitors at booths, career fairs, calling. There's so many different channels. And the goal is always being present when that readiness or that serendipity strikes. Maybe it's a rough day at work for the physician candidate, or there's, bigger changes happening in their personal life and they're ready to consider a new opportunity, a new location. So provider recruitment requires multi-channel engagement because candidates are multi-channel. They're on all of these channels, and having presence there, building familiarity is so important to creating less friction throughout the recruitment process.
Yes, and while we're thinking about the multi-channel, just reflect on different ways that you all are currently communicating with candidates. So, how many different channels or modes of communication are you using right now? Are you just emailing? Are you making phone calls? Are you texting? Do you have any sort of marketing included? But think about what you guys are doing now, and throughout the presentation today, you'll see where you can maybe tweak your strategy, add to it, or make it more efficient. And always think about the type of contact information you have with candidates, as well as those channels that they're using to where you can get in front of them. And also one more note, just keep in mind the most the most stressful and maybe not so fun life events that we all experience, as well as physicians and providers, marriage, moving, and finding a job. So just keep that in mind. Okay, some quick basic best practices. This is going to be very high level when it comes to sourcing. So when we're talking about sourcing, we're digging for candidates and we're going to be reaching out to them based on what type of contact information they have. This is your essentially part of your groundwork of getting in front of these passive candidates. I think of it as a spectrum, and this will be on a slide in a few here, but I look at my candidates like that they're on a spectrum. So I always work my way to the hottest candidates first, and I work my way down to the cold candidates. Hottest being your applicants, cold being zero engagement whatsoever. So that is how I kind of look at my sourcing process. And while we're sourcing, we need to be using those multi channels for marketing. Marketing needs to be happening consistently throughout the process. And we'll go into more detail here throughout the presentation. But think about how much your organizations are marketing to patients. That's happening all the time. You're seeing mailers, commercials, billboards, things like that. Digital marketing, that needs to be happening to provider and physician recruitment as well. If we keep marketing to patients but not the physicians, we're going to have an even bigger deficit of providers. Okay, so where physicians actually respond. Um, I want you guys to think about this personally as well. Remember, physicians and providers are people too. So think about where you guys spend most of your time outside of work. When you're either trying to find information, you're just trying to distract yourself. Some people call things doom scrolling, but think about where you're going, where you're looking, what you look at every day. So is that emails? Is it LinkedIn? Maybe television, streaming services? What websites are you guys on? What applications? Does anyone listen to the radio or what's it called? Sirius XM? There's also things like podcasts, newspapers, journals. But we have our top 5 engagement channels when it comes to physician sourcing and recruitment listed here. Also, think about where you're viewing all of your information. And you guys feel free to, type some things out in the chat where you all spend a lot of your time. Are you on your computer? Are you on a laptop, a Kindle, a mobile phone? Where are you looking personally? And remember, the providers are people too.
When it comes to the channels that you are leveraging in your recruitment marketing efforts, the goal isn't to blast every single channel all at once. It's orchestration. So looking at the channels that you have ownership of or influence over is the best place to start. Typically, marketing channels are broken into 4 clusters of paid, owned, earned, and shared. And within that fall all of the individual channels and tactics. And each channel plays its own role, where email informs, social reinforces, text prompt action, and calls personalize. So when they all work together, response rates increase without increasing efforts once everything is set up and organized in a sustainable fashion.
Wonderful. So like I had mentioned earlier, this is all going to start with your sourcing process, with your team. And this is, again, very high level, what you all should be doing with each requisition. So obviously posting your opportunities to those websites, those job boards, sending out your emails, text follow-ups, warm calls and cold calls. Like Laura mentioned, this should be strategic as well. We don't want to just throw spaghetti at the wall. We want to really personalize this outreach as much as we can, especially because this is your team doing most of this. So you guys do have, well, I want to say you have a little more time, but maybe we don't. But can all be automated as well. So we want to customize and personalize this as much as possible. Your first outreach shouldn't be a nationwide outreach. So for example, let's say you have a pediatrician need here in Missouri. You're not going to start by reaching out to every single pediatrician nationwide. You're really going to be strategic about it. Think about um, when you actually need to get this filled in an ideal world, of course, and who your ideal candidate is. So this does look a little bit overwhelming. You need to be sending a full email campaign with text follow-ups, with warm calls after that, and then cold calls after that. If you are aware, if you guys use Practice Match, we have an email campaign feature right now. So currently, it allows you to schedule and automate up to 3 emails in your campaign. And what it does is, let's say I ran a search for pediatricians in Missouri. Everyone on that list is going to get my first email, my primary email. Then I'm going to have the second email scheduled, and that's going to go to everyone who did not read my email. So my messaging, my subject line might be a little bit different, trying to gain some more readership. But then that third email, that goes to everybody who did read my initial email. So they saw the content, they might have clicked on some links, they know my name by this point, and it's just beautifully set up. If I wanted to set it and forget it over the holidays, I could schedule a campaign for every single specialty. Now, what about those texts and those phone calls? Well, what our tech team, our fantastic tech team is doing, which will be launched soon, they're expanding on this drip campaign. So you guys are going to be able to automate more. Like we had mentioned, it takes quite a few touch points, anywhere from 20 to 50 to get a passive physician candidate to finally reach out to us. So if we can automate that for you guys, we're going to do so. So coming soon, I want to say early next year, 2026, this campaign feature will allow you to schedule more emails, text follow-ups if you guys have Text Match Plus on your subscription. And the warm and the cold calls, that's still something. We have another product for that as well that we just launched called Provider Connect. So that will help you automate your phone calls, but you still have to get on the call or on the phone and burn the phone. But if you guys have questions about, I call it the smiler and dialer, or our email campaign, our larger drip campaign coming soon, reach out to your account manager. Now, along with our basic sourcing process, we have the consistent marketing below. So again, this is something that needs to be happening all the time, that additional marketing. And then we have our spectrum. This is just how I view my sourcing process, working from my hottest candidates down to my cold candidates. Okay, so this is just a very brief 10-day outreach example. So thinking about anytime you guys get a new requisition to work on, obviously let's post our opportunity ASAP. We shouldn't be sitting on that. We need to get that posted ASAP, and hopefully your leadership gives you all the wonderful details that you can share with the candidates. Something else that I personally like to do immediately, share my job posting to all the socials. So LinkedIn, you can share to Facebook, if you have Twitter or X, Instagram, all of those socials, those shared channels that Laura had mentioned, those are free. We can all have a personal seat on there. Maybe some of you guys have an organization page as well. on some of those socials. But those are two things that should get done as soon as possible. Post your opportunity and share it to the socials. Now, again, if time allows, in a perfect world, we're going to start sourcing right away. I would love to tell you you're going to get 100 applicants for your physician jobs right off the bat, but we all know that's just not the case in our industry. So we do need to start sourcing. So you're going to be working on your email campaign, getting that scheduled around, let's say, across a Monday through a Thursday. Again, you can switch up your days on your email campaign, but I'm going to say anywhere from 3 to 5 days is where our emails are going to be sending. Thursday, we might take a look, or we should, not might, we should. We should look at our reports, our email delivery reports, to see who is reading our emails, to see who is clicking on those links within the emails, and make some follow-up texts, as well as potentially some calls if we don't have any text tool at our hands right now. But we can send a follow-up text to everyone who is engaged with our email campaign, meaning they're clicking, they're reading. They already know who we are. They're aware of the opportunity. So our messaging is going to be a little more pointed. We might poke the bear a bit. But then think about all of those candidates who just are not reading emails. Maybe that's not their favorite place to go look for opportunities, or, me personally, I kind of just select all and delete unless it's a bill or an email from the school. But we can text them. We need to think of a different way to get in front of them. And that messaging might be a little bit different. If they're totally not engaged yet, that text message is going to look different. Let's see, next week we might create some social posts. So rather than just hitting share for our job postings, which you guys can do in Practice Match, you can just share automatically. We might create some sort of fun social post with a link to our opportunity. I see a few of my clients doing this. They have beautiful pictures of the location, and then they'll have some high-level benefits, what's in it for me, what's in it for me as the candidate, and they'll have a link to the job posting. So we can do that again, especially on LinkedIn, but all the socials as well. After my campaign's done, I'm going to make some warm calls to start. So everybody who is engaged so far, I'm going to make that follow-up phone call. So just a quick example of how we can start our 10-day outreach with a new requisition.
And to expand on that, marketing calendar is really the foundation of multi-channel marketing. The cadence might appear rigid, but it's very intentional, and it balances visibility with respect. So it's okay to have consistent, persistent follow-up when there's value that's added through your communication channels and there's different formats all working together. So rather you use, Outlook, SharePoint, a project management tool such as Trello or Monday.com, the calendar will help you align with your team and your stakeholders. It creates accountability, and it allows you to document activities which can later serve as a reference for identifying any trends. For example, did you see an uptick in applies 10 days after sending out a direct mail piece? It's when all of these channels are running, it can be difficult to go through and track which specific tactic really, created a shift. So I highly recommend this. It's a cornerstone for our team within Practice Match. And we recommend that this is created really for each specialty where possible for each month to document all of your activities and your plans. And it can be very helpful in just adding consistency to all that you're doing. We highly recommend this, and happy to chat with any of you after the call about how to kind of implement this in your organization. It's something that is challenging to do the first month, but then you find it becomes much more, um, easy to update once you have something working.
Yes, and just to piggyback on this calendar, this is something that should happen every single month for each specialty. So I know that sounds like we're going to inundate them, but we really need to stay in front of them with that brand awareness. Something else I always think about is the contemplation phase. People might not really be looking for a job, but they might have thought about it. Like Laura mentioned earlier, they had a bad day at work or they're ready to grow. It's on their mind, it's something they've thought about, but they're not 100% ready to make a move. So we want to stay in front of them and need to be doing this every single month. All right. Now, here are some fun things to talk about when it comes to those shared channels, those socials. So each platform, the messaging, the post is going to be a little bit different. So with Facebook, it's going to be short and sweet. What's in it for me, which I like to see that no matter what. I want to see those high level selling points no matter what. But short, sweet, what's in it for me? When's the last time you went to Facebook, you saw somebody write a novel, you skipped over it? So let's keep it short. And again, I love to have a link to your job posting in there. It's really nice because usually Facebook makes it pretty. It'll pull up your logo. Um, that's the tech. I don't really know how to explain that part, but you guys know when you share something to the Facebook, it's going to put that logo on there, make it look really nice and presentable. So posts featuring human faces or personable content on Facebook can reach 10 times more accounts than text only. So graphics and healthcare recruitment research campaigns, those are huge for Facebook. So once again, short, visually oriented content, potentially include a video under 30 seconds, maybe a flyer with clear job benefits. These tend to generate significantly higher engagement than those longer or text-heavy posts. I think we can all agree there for those Facebook posts that are much too long. Okay, so here is a sample messaging for the Book of Faces here. So I believe, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we'll be sharing this PowerPoint on our
Yes.
help page. Okay, awesome. So don't feel like you have to screenshot every single one of these, but this is a great example that you can use for Facebook. Something else that I do, and I know this is a little off topic, but I'll use ChatGPT. And especially if I'm short on time, I'll plug in whether it's my job posting or my email template I've created. I'll say, hey, make this messaging targeted for Facebook, and it'll create a a little bit different of a message based on whichever social media tool I need help with. Okay, Instagram. I love Instagram. Um, this is where culture and the total human connection really come alive. So with Instagram, you guys know we're looking at a lot of pictures, reels, which are short videos, stories, a day in the life content. These usually outperform static posts. So this is brand building, but brand building that directly impacts response rates later. So again, um, definitely use your images and your reels. Doctors use Instagram very similarly to influencers, which is interesting. Again, they're people too. And this is a fun stat. Stories alone reach over 500 million daily active users. Okay, and a sample message for Instagram. Again, if you have a reel or nice image you can include, definitely do so. So the behind the scenes team spotlight, this concept builds trust, it builds recognition. Again, this is showing the human side of your healthcare experts, which is always nice to be able to relate to them as well. And it serves a dual purpose. So we're engaging patients who are checking social media before choosing a provider, and we're also attracting talent by showcasing a positive work culture. And once again, this type of content, this strategy, this is going to humanize your organization. It creates familiarity before your outreach even begins. So when an email, a text, a phone call does arrive later, the name feels known rather than, oh, who is, Practice Match Healthcare, rather than it feeling kind of cold. Okay, X, formerly known as Twitter. Physicians do engage very professionally on Twitter. They look up research, policy, thought leadership. Recruitment posts do perform best when they align more with mission, innovation, leadership, not just job postings. Might include community impact. Um, that last bullet point there, also a super interesting stat. State health departments are using X for emergency situations, which is very interesting to me. All right, and last but not least, anytime we are using some sort of banner ad for digital marketing, you guys know these ones. Any of those websites or apps you're on, and all of a sudden an ad pops up and it's animated, it's flashing at you, or something's moving across the screen. Um, those those are banner ads, and these are all targeted through digital marketing. So different types of digital marketing. But no matter, all of these ads that we use, they should be short, punchy, and built for tiny screens. So I don't know about you guys, but I use Pinterest and my Fitness Pal a lot. It's usually on my cell phone. I'm looking up recipes or DIY things. But that is why these ads need to be little. They're populating on cell phones most of the time. They do populate on Kindles and desktops and laptops and whatnot, but I think a lot of people use their cell phone apps and websites on their phones as well. So just remember, one message will not fit every single screen. That's why you'll have different sized ads, but mobile ads must be fast and clear. They're going to be the shortest and the sweetest. Social should feel human. While email does provide the details, these types of ads, these are going to just be meant to get those touch points in, gain more brand recognition, another way to get in front of the candidate. So always remember to match your tone to the channel because this will dramatically improve engagement without having to rewrite everything from scratch. Um, so again, we don't have a picture here of one of our digital ads, but reach out to your CAM, your client account manager, your practice match rep, and they can send you some examples of what digital ads look like. Or shoot, just jump on Pinterest and you'll see one there. Okay, so of course, another touch point for candidates are texts. And here we have the best times of days and response rate per day of the week. Now, this all comes from Laura, was this our data or was this from?
Yes, this is our data.
Okay, perfect. So this is where we're seeing people actually looking at texts and replying to texts. Now, email is still going to be our foundation, but texting, I hate to say it, most people have their phone with them a lot of the time. And you guys know how it is when you get a text, you hear your phone ding or you see it vibrate, you want to know who's texting you. So our read rates for texts are pretty great. But this data is going to show you when to plan, when to send out those texts. Always introduce yourself in a text. Always include a strong call to action. We do not recommend using acronyms or emojis or anything like that, but keep it short, keep it personal. Definitely have your name and your org in there somewhere if you can. But texting does work because it is timely and timing matters. So early evenings and midweek consistently have been performing best as of late. The most effective texts that we're seeing are short, personal, and of course, respectful of opt-out boundaries or opt-in boundaries. And you know what? This kind of does make sense. Thursday, they're getting to the end of their work week. They're probably thinking, you know what? It's time for me to make a change. It's been a week. Okay, so to go along with our using the phone, I love texting, and I don't know if I'll ever not recommend making actual phone calls. So we're calling this cold calling, but just remember if candidates are reading emails, clicking on links, viewing your opportunities, maybe you've sent them a postcard, that's more of a warm phone call. So when I first started in the industry, I was terrified of calling physicians. Until I got my first snarky physician out of the way, I was okay. That's very rare that that happens, but that can happen through any mode or medium that you're using. You can get a snarky reply, but don't be afraid to make the call. You know, worst case scenario, they're gonna be uninterested and maybe rude, and we don't want to hire them anyway. But I do recommend leaving a voicemail and keeping it short and sweet. So try to stay around 20 to 30 seconds with your voicemail. Make it as personalized as you possibly can. So I know at least within the Practice Match platform, you can view those profiles of candidates who've been interviewed by us and kind of see hobbies, where they're from, maybe top priorities in their career, things like that. And you can formulate your messaging, your voicemail, according to that person's profile. The other thing with your call to action that I highly recommend, I don't ever recommend just pushing opportunities on a candidate. Um, Hi, doctor. It's Courtney with Practice Match. Wanted to talk to you about my family medicine opportunity here in St. Louis. Call me back when you can. I don't recommend that. With your call to action, I like to make sure that the candidate knows that I want to hear about them and what they're looking for in their career. So something more along the lines of I would love to talk to you about opportunities and what you're looking for in your career. Because you never know until you actually have a call or a chat with a candidate, you don't really know what they're looking for or what the best opportunity for them would be. Something else I recommend, having a screen sheet ready to go in case the candidate is available and is ready to talk. So always have that phone screen handy. If you don't have one, Once again, reach out to your client account manager and they can hook you up. I do have one myself that I can provide to you as well. But cold calls, they do work best when they're no longer cold, so when they're warmer. Again, solidifying the importance of those touch points within our sourcing process, within our additional marketing, within our social posts. So calling after those emails, those engagements, that's going to increase success dramatically. So that context transforms interruption into conversation, which is our main goal here. All right, direct mailers. So snail mail. This still works. I know some people have written it off, but our postcards, our letters, our trifolds, things like that in the mail, they actually do work. So there is a blog referencing mail habits that reports 77% of people do sort through their mail immediately. And many people actually set it aside. And on average, this is crazy, people hold on to mailers to their mail for 17 days, which is absolutely crazy to me. I like my counter cleared. I do remember my parents holding on to mail often, but 17 days. Now think about think about the days times the amount of people in the household. So maybe the candidate has a spouse, some kiddos. They're all seeing the mail as well. Another thing I think about, the candidate isn't always the one who wears the pants in the household. So maybe the decision maker of the house sees the postcard and is like, hey, honey, you've been complaining at work. This opportunity looks really nice. Why don't you give them a call? Sometimes they will even reach out to the recruiter. But think about the amount of touch points, the amount of eyes that are getting put onto those mailers. So I do have some client examples. I have a client in Virginia. They sent out a mailer for peds neuro, and they didn't spend much money on it, but they got a hire for peds neuro, and it was a postcard. It was a 6x9 postcard. It did have a QR code on it. I do recommend including QR codes on your mailers. One of my Rhode Island clients sends a letter from the department chair to the new residents and fellows. So this summer, she sent out a letter to each resident and fellow who'd be graduating in 2026 for the specialties they needed from the department chair. So they carry more weight than us recruiters and account managers. It looks like you're getting a letter in the mail from Dr. So-and-so. You know, you can do this with your CEO or your CMO, someone who carries a little more weight, and then get them to sign the letter. Very, very nice and official. But yes, direct mail, our snail mail, these stand out mostly because it's just a rare sight now. So for passive or senior physicians who've been practicing, physical mail does signal legitimacy and investment. Once again, if you pair this with your other um, modes of outreach with digital follow-up, recall increases significantly. On a personal note, I was trying to find a dentist who would take my insurance, and for some reason I couldn't get in. No one was taking new patients or they wouldn't take my insurance. And I do kind of live out in the boonies, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. But I got a postcard from a dentist for St. Genevieve, Missouri, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to give them a call. They're taking new patients, and sure enough, they take my insurance. So there you have it. He won me over with a postcard. Granted, I'm not a physician, but he still got a new patient. All right, so actually here are some ads. So I had mentioned we didn't have any pictures on that slide, but we do have images of example digital ads here on this slide. Now in real life, when you're getting served these ads, they are animated. So they might swoop across the screen or the letters may swoop across the screen, things like that to catch your attention. But again, we need to get in front of candidates where they're spending their time. So a lot of candidates, a lot of people are spending their time on their phone, on those applications, those websites, maybe even on their Kindles, maybe streaming television. But these are those types of ads, and there's always a call to action button. They're short and sweet. And while this isn't your number one way to get a bunch of applies, this is enhancing those touch points. And we can look at number of impressions, click-through rate. We are able to track those things. And Laura had mentioned this earlier when you're combining digital marketing with your email outreach, your texts, you can kind of see, you can run those stats for your emails and see that there's a lift. So most of the time, I will say holiday season is always up in the air, but usually when you have a digital campaign going, you're going to notice a lift in your read rates and your click-through rates for your emails, which is pretty neat. The other thing, we do have a ton of different publishers that these ads are served on. So some of the bigger ones, the well-known ones, ABC, Cosmopolitan, CNN, Amazon, Forbes, ESPN, those are the types of publishers, but there's like hundreds of thousands of publishers, and it's always interesting to see where people are viewing your ads too. All right. So I know we have kind of thrown a lot at you, so we didn't want you to feel like, oh gosh, where do I start? So remember, this will be shared on our help page, but you have a couple calendar examples for sourcing, and we have a start tomorrow checklist here for you as well. So the first two should be pretty easy. Updating your opportunities to include best practices, so short, sweet, to the point, big selling points with details. That's what our physicians like to see. And um, maybe adding a video if you don't have one, an image if you don't have one there, but then also share those to social media. And I say go above and beyond that. Send your opportunities, or at least your high priority opportunities, send them to your current providers, your current leadership, and say, hey, will you share this with your network as well? Just to push it out there a little more a little further. Create 3 email templates for your email campaign and get those scheduled. And again, remember, we're going to be expanding on our campaign feature coming soon. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to help you automate your efforts. But create 3 separate emails, save those, and get those scheduled. You might even get those scheduled to run over Christmas time. Also, you can reach out to your client account manager if you need any help with any of this. Create a couple text follow-ups that you can use, one for readers and one for those non-readers. So that messaging will look a little bit different. And of course, once all that's done, create a call list and have a screen sheet at the ready. So don't be afraid to pick up that phone. I will tell you, make sure you call them Dr. So-and-so. Don't use their last name. I've heard a recruiter do that before and it wasn't pretty. So until they tell you, hey, just call me Courtney, let's say Dr. Fruoff until then. Create your social posts. with the opportunity link. Now, even LinkedIn has an edit with AI button, so don't feel like you have to be the one being super creative all the time. You can always help use AI too. That might help you as well. And last but not least, meet with your marketing team to discuss additional outreach efforts. So talk to your marketing team, see what capabilities they have. If they could help you with things, that would be huge. Or reach out to your practice match client account manager because we do have a full marketing department here and they're absolutely brilliant. They're the ones creating all the ads, creating all the mailers that are getting candidates hired. Um, and it's Laura's team, so she's here with us too, if you have any questions about that. All right, so speaking of questions, what questions do you all have? Okay, I think I missed a couple questions. Shanna is wondering about geofencing. And if anyone on the call has been successful with this, would love to hear more. So in a nutshell, geofencing is a digital a digital marketing tactic, but we target based on location. So we need addresses to geofence. So again, Practice Match has the addresses for the candidates for their homes. We can target them with a geofence in their homes. We can target programs, residency fellowship programs, hospitals, health systems. Literally any place that has an address, we can geofence it and they'll be served up those banner ads on all of their mobile devices. My clients have been extremely successful. I have one in New Hampshire that's purchased multiple geofences over and over for their specialties throughout the last year or so. And we always include programs and um, some other hospitals that we target as well in those campaigns. Now, remember, they're also sending out emails and texts while the geofence campaign is running. Okay, Christy. Hey, Christy. She uses the M365 planner and loop for these assigned tactics across all specialties. Christy developed a wonderful sourcing calendar. Absolutely fantastic. I've seen it before. Copilot, there's a create function. And Lori asks regarding mailers, is this a service we provide? Yes. This is something we do here. You're more than welcome to do them on your own, but like I said, our designers are fantastic. Um, we can we can send you some example postcards. Again, Lori, reach out to your client account manager or your practice match rep. But yes, we do those here. Like I said, we also do letters, we do trifolds, but I like to include a QR code pretty much every single time. You're welcome. Any other questions or thoughts? Okay, one more exciting thing coming soon, Practice Match University. So this will be happening in early 2026. We are launching Practice Match University. We will be offering a recruitment foundations and practice course along with a certification. So if anyone's ever attended our boot camps, it's like our boot camp, but completely enhanced. So we're going into great detail with everything. We're going to have 3 different levels: core, advanced, and expert. And this is really designed for anyone and everyone in our industry. So core competencies, we're going to be building the foundations of a successful provider recruiter. Our our advanced competencies, strategic recruitment and analytics, and last but not least, our expert competencies. That course will cover leadership, immigration, and strategic workforce planning. So look out for that in Q1. You might actually see some digital ads and social posts this month about Practice Match University. And Christy asks, do you recommend using your personal Insta or an organized account? I'm gonna have Laura answer that one.
Yes, absolutely. We recommend an organizational account with more of a career focus. So either leveraging your organization's current social account or creating something like Acme Hospital Careers. Partnering with your marketing team is usually the fastest way to get kind of an asset library together for this. But you also have the option of, creating like a career focused one. So there's some joint ownership over your team because the posting piece can become a little bit of a burden when you're trying to do 3 to 5 posts, per week by yourself.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. I'll let you guys type out any additional questions you might have. But as you all know, there's usually a winner for our webinars. And today Andy, you're going to spin the wheel, right? For one lucky attendee here to win a free conference geofence campaign.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm ready with the wheel. I promise it's here. I got a list of all people who registered and their email addresses, so it's a little crazy to look at, but I'll go ahead and spin that wheel. And looks like the email address I got right now. Luckily, it's a name. We got Rinda Wiseman. If you're here, throw up a hands or say something in the chat. We'll be looking to see if you're here. Rinda, hopefully I'm pronouncing correctly. Maybe. If you're not here, that's unfortunate. We'll spin again. We'll have more chances for another winner. I don't see Rinda Wiseman. Courtney, let me know if you're looking as well.
Nope, she doesn't look to be here.
All right, well, that's okay. I'll go ahead and remove them and spin again. That's why we do it behind the scenes, because it's always different when someone's watching.
Andy's
All
got his
right.
game show voice.
Of course. We got Alvarez at Theoria. So I'm looking at an email address, and again, probably a last name. So again, if you're here, Alvarez at Theoria Medical, let me know if you're here. I don't see that last name either. All right, third time's the charm. All right, Lauren Anastasia, are you here? Possibly. Oh, I see your name. You see you're here. Absolutely. Well, congrats. You're the winner for today. Cool,
Yay!
cool. Yeah, congratulations. We'll definitely be in touch with you right after today's webinar to get you over what you won.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys all so much for your time today. Please reach out to your client account manager or your practice match rep with any additional questions regarding anything. And yes, happy holidays.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for hosting today's webinar, Courtney and Laura. We very much appreciate it. And have a happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye, everybody.